Good day, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Ahmed Khalil, in the first of my tech leadership stories. And actually, it's one of the unique stories that we have here in the Middle East and Egypt. Having analog devices on board, in Egypt and running for 7 years now, creating a very unique culture, and having a great, experience with that. Welcome, Dr. Ahmed Khalil, to the show. And actually, I want to really uh, present you in a way that you deserve. But I would love that you take the mic here and maybe present yourself in the way that you prefer. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. So, my name is Ahmed Khalil and Ahmed Ibrahim Khalil, and I'm obviously a graduate of Cairo University back in 1992. Yes, an old guy. So, and, uh, and I was appointed as an RA and a TA at the university, Cairo University. Then went off and did my PhD at North Carolina State University. Finished in 1999 and joined a small company at the time called Hittite Microwave, which became an IPO company. It used to be a startup. It became an IPO company in 2005, and in 2011, I decided to come back to Egypt to actually open a design center for Hittite Microwave. And at that time, I recruited about 11, 12 folks. Three of them came from US, Canada, and France, and the rest were here in Egypt, either fresh grads or they were coming from different companies. In 2014, Hittite was purchased or bought, acquired by Analog Devices. And that's the 7 years that Muhammad's talking about. So for the past 7 years, we have been Analog Devices, and it has been a very pleasant journey. Analog Devices is one of the elite companies. I think when we were Hittite, we used to think if we were to be acquired, Analog Devices would match us very well in terms of engineering culture and so forth, which is not a small thing. We were very engineering at the core, and ADI is also similar. Today, we're about 40 engineers altogether, working on multiple in multiple disciplines and in different fields, but mainly focused on communications, whether it be terrestrial or satellite communications, and we also play in the test and measurements as well. We design integrated circuits for the high frequencies, and we also not just do the design, we do the testing as well, and we own the product. So we're a product team that does research and development along the way. So I don't like to call ourselves R&D because this kind of like dissociates itself from products, but we are a product team. So we go through the whole product cycle and we deliver chips to customers. That's who we are, really. I hope that's good enough.
That's amazing. Thank you for that, and it's really very comprehensive. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. And actually, I would tell here in this, in these episodes, as we agreed that we are going to present the untold story or the saga, of analog devices in Egypt, and having this site, especially that the environment in Egypt is almost against having such an amazing team and amazing culture. You did something, or actually the team. I don't. You had something there in the leadership and building the culture that is totally against the mainstream. So I would just actually like you to start. Where do you like to start, and where do you like actually from the decision making, from building the site, from hiring talents and retaining the talents. Against everything that works against forces like brain drain, like people who want actually to have their PhDs and MSCs outside Egypt, and actually those who actually look at the electronics market or employment market as a very a narrow market. So they actually, most of the talents go for the telecom and IT markets instead of going to electronics. So there are many factors that are acting totally against, having such an amazing site in Egypt. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly, all true. So so it has been tough, but it has been very rewarding, I would say. When I first started thinking about coming back, I kind of knew what to expect. I knew that we would have smart and eager guys to learn. And I knew that they didn't have the experience that we wanted them to have. So the way I pitched it to our CEO at the time, who was very, very helpful, honestly. I mean, the whole Hittite staff were amazing. So I told them that we're going to find very smart folks with little experience, but the experience can be gained. And at the time, I used to be, a senior consultant engineer, which is kind of the second level to the chief engineer at the company. So I told them I will mentor them, and then you will end up having better designers than I am. So and he looked at me and he said, "Okay, so you're going to have better designers than you are?" I said, "Yes." I was really confident in their capabilities, but I knew that the experience wasn't there. So that's what was on my mind. First, when we started recruiting, there were two things that I was really looking for. People who can think on their feet. You have to get him in the interview out of the comfort zone and see how he behaves. And two, people who will be team members. And this is not a cliche or something. This is really, you have to, during the interview, try to assess that. Is he really going to be a team member or not? It's not easy, but you have to figure it out. And sometimes you get it wrong, but those were the two main things. So when we started opening up, I started actually teaching the guys and things like that. But I soon found out that my biggest challenge wasn't really the technical. That's a challenge, yes, but the biggest challenge was the culture. Uh, so, so the culture, which is something that blew me away because I didn't expect it. Having been away for quite a long time from Egypt, and I really haven't worked that long in Egypt. I probably was at the university for 4 years, which is a totally different environment than industry. So, on my industry experience was just consultations when I was teaching at the university. So the culturally, a lot of things goes against you with the culture piece. Egyptians, one of them is, for example, we love to stay up at night late, and that's not only on the weekends. It's like 7 days a week. People go out, and that's something that you don't find in the West. People like they're focused 5 days a week, and during the weekend they're out doing their thing. But here it wasn't like that. So that's one of the things that we had to get people oriented with. And you got to the point where, okay, well, we're supposed to have flexible hours. Yes, flexible hours is good. But the point of flexible hours is to accommodate people's needs, not to drain your energy out until 1 o'clock in the morning and come to the office next day beat, and you can't really perform. So even though they were very smart folks, and I was actually, very fortunate and privileged to have them on my team, and most of them still is on my team. It was tough at the beginning to get them to. So I had to readjust the rules. We had like flexible hours, like no start time, no end time. People come in and go, but normally, nominally, I would like people to come at 9 a.m. But that wasn't happening. The curve kept on shifting, and people coming in later than they should, probably at noontime. So we had to start putting some, a little bit of rules that maybe up to 10 a.m. is good, but please don't come after that. And then there were other things. So that was just the start. But ownership is something that part and parcel of what we do. I used to tell them, if you take a design from someone and you're going to tweak it just a little bit, you own it. And that was a foreign concept to them. You mean if there's a problem in that design, I own it? I said, yes, if you touched it, you own it. And ownership took a while to sink in, but I think they have learned that quite well, and it kept us out of a lot of problems. So ownership was definitely something that was very important. Trust. We were talking before before this about that, and normally us as Egyptians, if we cross the street, we can't trust anybody. We could be just ran over. So inherently, the environment teaches you not to be untrusting, and that spills over to your management. So the starting point is not we trust you until proven otherwise. The starting point is that we don't trust you until you prove otherwise. And that was okay. That was fine. I mean, at the beginning, I felt like there was really lack of trust, but I think that was because a lot of them have gone through a lot of experiences that led to this. And in order to build that trust, we just applied what we apply basically in the U.S. I mean, full transparency, tell it as it is, and open to questions. Whatever I do or decisions I make, if someone asks, I'll explain to them why this happened. And without them even asking, I normally do anyways. But if there's more clarification needed, that's where we start talking about it.
Transparency
Culturally,
and openness, yeah. So transparency
yes,
and openness was
yes,
something that you brought in here, and actually, I believe that sometimes it is, I believe in the Egyptian culture, they sense that there is meanings behind the words that you're saying. That they actually try to
yeah,
extrapolate what's underlying the message, or what's behind it, or how what is his intention. They're creating some stories around it. So how did you deal with this? This is I believe this is a tough part.
You're taking me back like 10 years ago. It's been so long since buddy, you're absolutely right. So I used to tell them, like, every time, like I have, when I tell them certain things, someone would come and say, did you mean this? And did you mean myself? Were you talking about this in pointing to something I did? So this was really true. And I tell them, listen, take my words for what it is. Do not interpret them more than the first level. So if I said, this is what I said, that's what you need to understand. If I wanted to say, you have done this, I would bring you in the office and tell you, this is unacceptable. I'm not shy, and I don't lack basically transparency. So I will tell you, and I do. So when they started seeing that that's really what's happening, I can deliver a very tough message without needing to, sugarcoat it and or say it through a proxy or whatever. It's just a communication one-to-one. So yes, absolutely true. The other thing also is, you know, uh, people like to, um, you know, the saying "the grass is always greener on the other side" takes a negative turn when people start inside any company talk about, certain things that they perceive among themselves to be an issue, and it has been resolved in other companies and so forth. And the way, and this at the beginning was a lot going on. Like the way I told them, if you have an issue, if there's an issue here that you think needs fixing, there's one person in the company that can help you with it, but you're not talking to him. You're talking to all the others that cannot help you. So if you really think that this can be resolved, and it's an issue significant enough that you talk to everybody else about it, then you should talk to me. And I'll try to resolve it. If I can't, I will explain to you why. And that kind of like helped because we kind of in our culture like to talk, and sometimes this leads to shooting ourselves down by making the environment more negative, which I'm totally against. Having a positive environment is incredibly crucial in maintaining high spirit of the team and becoming, successful. So there are two things that I think I have always focused on during those past 10 years. The first is to make the team successful, and the second, to make the team happy, each individual of the team. I think those are my two most important job roles or measures, to be honest. Um,
So
if they
can you please repeat this again? Because actually this is a very important. These are two very important priorities, and actually to have them with all of these, what you are listing and others, I know that they're still against the stream, like a systemic culture issue that you were working against, and actually you did a great job actually building trust, working with the ownership, working with the time intolerance, and spreading the negative vibes or actually the comparisons with others. So these two focal points, can you please repeat them again,
Yes. So I think any successful leader has two main focal points that he needs to be aware of: making the team successful and making the team happy. In that order, at least that's my view. Others may agree or disagree, but making them successful, if you make them happy, let's say, for example, let's go on the edge here and have them party all night and all that stuff, they will not be successful. And if they are not successful, they will not be happy. So you have to make them successful and happy so they would enjoy the ride. It's not and making them successful and become miserable is not at all the objective. This is, it's the place is not going to be a place where anybody would want to stay. They're going to be dragging their feet out of bed trying to come to work. That's not what you want, right? You want people coming energetic to work, and body language can tell you a lot about how people perceive their job. So those are the main two things, and sometimes they, making them successful kind of contradicts a little bit of their perceived flex time or whatever. But you have to stand your ground, I would say, and make sure that they're doing the right things to be successful. At the end of the day, when they're successful, you'll see a wide smile on their faces, and all the tough, circumstances just go away, and then they, they're also happy. So I think that's in my mind, those were the main two things. So I'm not pleased if someone does a good job and he feels bad or he's not happy. So I don't assume that my job has ended there. I have to go and ask, why is he not really upbeat and things like that. I want people to be upbeat, and that's important to me. So those are kind of my two top priorities: delivering at a high success rate and having a very energetic and happy workforce. So another piece is, I think, collaboration. Like you always hear about collaborations and so forth, and it's I think Jack Ma said once that you can easily get not very high caliber people to collaborate, but it's very difficult to get very smart people to collaborate. And I think that's very true. Very smart people tend to be individually driven. They have their own ideas. They can do, they believe in themselves. And they have always been successful. So adding to them, can be challenging. So we put a system in place that we actually forced this collaboration. First of all, we hired the very best. So that piece is taken care of. So we're going to have quite a lot of smart folks on our teams, and we have to deal with it. So how to get them to work together was the challenge, and the way I did this is that basically I put the best person that I saw can lead projects, for example, on project A, and project B, the next time around, that person might be on this project reporting somebody else who's leading the project, and it's not necessarily him who's going to be leading the project. So rotation of leadership was one piece to make sure that these kind of like egos are in check, and the team is working as a team, not as individuals. The second piece also is that people who, like we could be running multiple projects at the same time. And if we needed help from one of the team leads on one of the projects, he would work under the other project lead to get us out the door, because that has higher priority driven by customer demands, for example. And nobody has a problem with that. And to get to that point, to be so easy in doing that and agile is really important, because you don't have to think twice if you need somebody to come in. Oh, is he going to be okay with this? Or is this going to be beneath him or something like that? So I think that was also very important. Collaboration was really key. Culturally, in Egypt we waste time and quite a bit. I mean, quite a bit, and that was another challenge that we needed to go through, which is basically to be more efficient. Efficiency is the name of the game. Doing more in less time, not working more, but delivering more. So efficiency was a big deal also early on, and it was interesting that we had one of our VPs visit us, and he actually went in a meeting for an hour with the team, and then after the meeting he left and came to my room and said that this team is amazing. And I asked him why. He said, like, every single person after the meeting immediately went to their desks and started working. No, there isn't chit chats, there isn't any of that. They all went back and started working. You guys got an amazing culture here, and this is in Egypt, right? So
how did this happen? And I'm really curious to know, how did this happen?
it was really, really tough. You cannot believe it. I mean, I did it the old-fashioned way. Like every time people would be chit-chatting, I would go physically. First of all, I had a glass office, basically. I could see them, and that's by design. I wanted a glass office. I had an open office plan and a glass office. So every time I look out and I see people talking, I would just open the door, go out. Can you please go back to your seat? Can you do this and that? It's
That's cool,
so that very old-fashioned, really very old-fashioned. And the open seating was also not something that they liked. They didn't want an open seating. They wanted high cubes and things like that. And I said no, we're not having that. We're having open seatings, because I want to be able to explain something in the middle of the room and everybody would hear it. I don't want to be explaining this all over and over again. They said, what about privacy? I said, what do you mean privacy? We're at work. so they said, no, but someone might be want to speak in on a private call, in the phone. I said, well, okay. They could excuse themselves and go outside and speak on the phone, but inside, if you're talking about something that you don't want people hearing, you shouldn't be doing at work. You could be doing outside. So the old-fashioned way actually worked, and they turned out to be like a clock. They worked like a clock, I think, and it was very efficient. And I was very, very pleased with the outcome. Honestly, I mean, we have a lot of good, calibers to start with. They just need to be put in the right system, I think, and they will, hit it outside of the park. That's really what I think. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So in a way, that's what you're doing is really, it's totally against the mainstream. And what you're saying here is, you're talking about, culture, systemic cultural issues, and how you're dealing with it. It's very hard actually to find a workplace in Egypt where people are really that efficient, with actually understanding this kind of, respecting time and respecting productivity, taking ownership, having this, being happy and energetic while doing all of this. This is also another. It's sometimes when somebody is perceiving such a culture. Oh, what's that? That's too tough. Something it's in a way it's not a popular culture when it comes to the mainstream dudes, or the smart people.
I
So
know that very well. I mean, our reputation, I hear sometimes people outside making all these kind of crazy things about us here and saying they're very tough. They're very tough, other folks in the outside of ADI here. But, I'm fine with it. I don't, I had some people come and tell me, we need to improve a little bit such that our image outside is not. I said, results speak for themselves. I'm not gonna, if this is how we are getting there and this is working for us, I'm not gonna dwell on it. If people outside think we're too tough, that's so be it. It might be a natural filtration that turns, candidates away from coming to us. That's fine. We're good with it. Yeah. What other things that we faced? Yeah, result oriented. A lot of folks feel like if they worked hard, then they have done their job. No, that's not true. We work. The purpose is not to work hard. The purpose is to deliver products to customers. That's the purpose. So I don't want people working 12 hours a day. I want people delivering products to customers. So if we have delivered, then we have succeeded. If we have not, it doesn't matter how long we worked or how tough it was. It just doesn't count. So I always tell people, like, try to get on the board, make it count, make your effort count by making sure that there's nobody out there who's going to do better than you. And if we can do that, we will win, and everybody's going to be happy. Otherwise, we're going to lose. And I think it was Steve Jobs who said, we don't get paid by how much effort we put in. We get paid by the customer satisfaction, if I remember correctly, or how customers appreciate our products. That's really true, and that's what I believe has to be the core of the focus here. So that's definitely the case. Recruitment is another story. So recruiting, like I said, you will find smart folks, very smart folks actually, at the universities. However, they take a long time to get up to speed, and our field is not very, well spread. We work in the microwave and RF IC design. Even in the United States, those guys who do this type of work are not a whole lot. So electronics has a pyramid. Digital has maybe the highest content, and then followed by the analog, followed by the RF, followed by the microwave. So we're on kind of the top of the pyramid, not because we're better than anybody, no, because we're less actually in number. So so that means that universities are not going to give you the graduates you need. So we had to actually reach into the university, Ain Shams and Al Qahira in particular, and open trainings during the summer. We have trained every year since 2012, I believe, about 15 of those top students, and we hired from them. And those who we didn't hire, ended up feeding other companies in Egypt. And it's rewarding actually to see them after they finish the program, and they continue on with their capstone or senior project with us. It was very rewarding that they come to us and say, we learned here more than we learned in our 4 years during the university. I don't think that's true, but I think if it hadn't been for the 4 years at the university, they wouldn't been able to basically absorb what we told them. So, but they look at it, it's like we're putting the icing on the cake. So, but they did a lot of work at the university to get to that level. And we're very proud of those interns who came and gone, and some of them have gone to top universities around the world now doing their PhDs.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah.
So can I ask you a question? Having this collaboration with the universities, I know that most of the university professors are not industry oriented. So how was this, like happening? Because actually this is not the norm, when we look at, the normal culture in the Egyptian universities. How did you deal with it, and how much time did it take? It is not just, that when they're teenagers, I will support you with the capstone project, or we will take some students and train them, and yes, come along, and you're invited. I believe it was a lengthy process and it took some time. So how did you manage it?
Some university professors wanted to basically did not like what we were doing. They didn't approve of it. They wanted it to be like formal university. And let's be honest. I mean, we're doing something that is also a bit different, right? Ideally, you would like like in the US, the universities do most of the heavy lifting, and the industry is just consulting for the most part. But we want to have more oversight to what's done. We want to be actually involved heavily. So yeah, some did not want us to do this, so we didn't, and we didn't really participate. And others, we do have on our staff several university affiliate professors who made it easier for us. They were actually penetrating the university, and they could do also the supervision as a university professor. But what's really I think important to understand is those university professors who were affiliated with us have actually changed, some of them at least have changed their curriculums that they are teaching at the university. And that's the feedback loop that for the longest of time Egypt did not have. Like every time I hear people speaking about how Egypt is going to become more technologically advanced, they talk about universities and how we should revamp the curriculum and stuff like that. And it's really 10% of the equation. 90% is the industry. If you have a strong industry, the industry will take care of the university. It will direct the university the right way. But nobody really does a whole lot for the industry. If you look just, by the way, I'm not throwing stones at anybody, but if you looked at the success stories in Egypt, they're all individually based. I mean, all of them. If you looked at, I'm talking about the electronic industry, the IC electronic industry specifically. So they have been people who individually contributed, but there needs to be more. There needs to be more push in terms of regulations, easing of electronic industry means electronic products. Products means tangible things. Tangible things are going to come from outside of Egypt to Egypt. If you have a border that doesn't allow for this to happen, you don't have an electronic industry. It's just as simple as that, right? So it's like if you don't have the mailman, you don't have mail, and it doesn't matter what happens at both ends of this link. So So that's, I think that needs to ease up, quite honestly, because it's been difficult for us. That's one of the challenges that's really, and it hasn't been resolved honestly until today. For the past 10 years, we haven't been able to resolve this one. So the other stuff we have done quite a bit with, and I hope it, I think Egypt can have quite a significant role to play, and there isn't a whole lot that's needed. It's just a little push, and things will go a long way.
Well, I believe in that. Something. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but in the first year of after my graduation, all my training during the university years, I was training on VHDL, digital design, semiconductor validation, and then I worked the first year in the IC design in the mixed signal design in Bahgat,
Okay.
IEP Bahgat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I knew that this will go nowhere. This year that I worked there, that I knew that this industry is going nowhere. There's no actual, no neither leadership nor the environment to make it happen. So I switched to telecom, and I believe that this was a decision, not only me who did it. There were many. I believe in this. That was back in 2000, 2001, and those who survived and persisted in this domain and this field, they are very few, and they are currently the leaders of this industry here in Egypt. And I can tell about 80% of them are already either in Germany, UK, Ireland, the US, or Malaysia. They're already there. It happened that they didn't find their growth here in Egypt, and they went out there. So, so 80% of those
Yeah,
who persist in
yeah.
this field.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of stuff that can be done, and it seems like the quantity, not quality, is the basic focus. Um, so the U.S. is very advanced, because they are the best in this industry. They're number one in this industry, and the industry requires, um, it is a mature industry, and you really need a lot of effort to bring it up, and thinking that a small startup is going to penetrate into the industry is not really going to happen. You really need to get the big companies attracted here, and this will happen through legislative, measures. Of course, you can have individual successes, as we see it all around Egypt. There are people who have been here before us, Mentor Graphics, for example, Cyware, and others. They have done an amazing job, but it's all individuals. I mean, it really is. I think we can do a lot better if we get a push, um, and the reward is going to be tremendous. I'll give you an example of the quantity rather than quality. When I wanted to open a design center in Egypt back in 2011, I went to the technology park in Maadi, and I wanted to. It's a technology park. We're a technology company, so I went in there and trying to get a space. And he asked me, okay, how many people are you going to hire? I said maybe 50, and then he said, well, how much space do you need? I said like 500 or something, or 700 square meter. I don't remember. He said, then he did the math, and I said, oh, you got one per 10 meters or something like that. I said, what is that? He said, oh, you got one person per 10 meters or 20 meters or whatever. 10 is square. Then I said, okay. He said, no, no, no. Our criteria is, I think, like one per 3 or something. They had a very dense. So I said, how could that be? He said, well, this is what we do with call centers. Those are the technology companies that we're looking for. I'm like, call center is not a technology. It's a service. So,
yes.
that's, that's kind of how it went. So I think if there's a little bit of understanding on what value add you're bringing, and people actually do something to attract value add rather than quantity, uh, you know, it would go a long way, I would say.
That's very true, and I believe that there is a lot of contributions. What I have seen in this industry in the last maybe 8 years or 9 years, I've seen a lot of individual successes that turned into huge company, middle-sized companies now. Almost some, I believe that in analog devices now you're around 120, right? Is it correct?
No, we're about 42 or so right now in Egypt.
42?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you're 42, and some other companies they already crossed the 150 in number, like Silicon Vision. There's also this Cyware. There is already there are many Mixel. There are many companies which are already having their own struggles to keep up the stream. And actually, one of the things that I'm not sure. I didn't say this before. Why I named my initiative as an innovation creed. I want to support the tech industry and the leadership. After 20 years, I may have not been persistent enough to stay in this field, but now I can see initiatives that I really want to support. To grow and to be better. So, and this is mainly the purpose here of actually this interview. And if you can allow us actually to have more interviews with you to understand and document what really happened, because each and every point that you have said, there is a long story behind it. It's not just a decision and an action. I believe that you went through many, like there are many stories, like, in the resistance that you have seen, the struggles that you had internally and externally, the support, the supporting system internally and externally, and I believe also that you may have told me that you had something like a culture assessment or something like this, like an engagement survey, like you may have mentioned
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there already there are a lot, that you went through, and we may have crossed the 30 minutes, and I'm enjoying this discussion, but I just so can we continue this discussion, in more, zooming in, different parts of, the challenges that you have said systemically. Can I have this privilege, please?
Sure, sure. I'm not sure the internet quality. I don't. I'm not sure if it's. Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. So I don't want to paint it like it was all challenges. No, like I said, it was worth every bit of it. I enjoy working with a top class team that I really enjoy being a part of. I probably taught them as much as I learned from them, so that was really great. And so I'm very satisfied with. I wouldn't want to be working anywhere else, honestly. So it's not all challenges. It's just that some of these challenges, we have already overcome, and others are outside of our hands. That needs to happen at a different level. But we do what we can do, and hopefully that will keep the ball rolling, such that whoever comes after us wouldn't start from the first floor.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Yeah, thanks for being that generous sharing. And I believe that lots of leaders here in Egypt that I know personally come to you for mentorship and advisory. Like they learn from you a lot, and this is something that I believe you're very generous in sharing your wisdom and opening the door for others to survive in the market. Thank you for that.
I don't know if it's wisdom. It's trial and error. That's what it is.
This is what accumulates, learning from doing, and practicing things. So if you want to maybe summarize, maybe the this episode or this introductory episode, if you can allow me to continue the discussions and document, the story behind it. So what would you like to tell, who are listening to us today?
I think there's a lot of opportunities here in Egypt. When we first started, I think there wasn't as many. There were some, but not as many. Today, younger folks have a lot of opportunities in the semiconductor industry. There are a lot of good companies around, several international companies now. and some local companies also that are doing very well. So they should really give it a shot. There's a lot of add value in becoming an electronics engineer, IC design engineer in particular. And there are quite a lot of good mentors in the industry today, and it is growing. Companies worldwide are opening design centers across the globe. Egypt has a very good potential to attract good companies here, and I wish they do. I want to see more international companies here. So the future is actually bright for the semiconductor industry. And know this: if you think things are easy for in one discipline, and like for example in software or whatever, and it's easier to be there. Easy things normally attract a lot of folks, and you run out quite quickly. So you have to really do your homework. Where electronics is a little bit difficult, not easy, but every time you accumulate knowledge, this adds to your value. So this is really important to understand. Don't take the easy road, especially when you're young. Think of added value more than quick rise up the chain. So that's really what I think it is. Again, looking back, I am very happy that I came back and opened this design center and gave people opportunity. And I wish it continues long after I'm not here. So that's really what it is.
You just plant the seed and you see it grow, and you're not. Yeah, I
Exactly.
believe that
Exactly.
everybody will take the fruits afterwards. So thanks for that very generous, open heart discussion. It was very warm. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
and I believe that for our audience, I believe they will wait for the second episode where we can talk on further details on tough leadership decisions, and and these culture stories. How you really the stories behind it, and how much time it took, till reaching this place that you are in. So and I hope that you role model for other companies who want to actually be in Egypt and open their design centers and where it's systemically not easy, like with the systemic challenges that we have, and how to open door for them to learn and actually start taking, it's an enjoyable ride, I hope, and energetic ride, as you already I hope it was for you. You were that happy team player, successful, as already it is for the team and for analog devices. And I really appreciate your time, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody. Bye bye.
Take care, everybody. Okay, bye bye.